This broadcast is live, Paulie boy.
We are live.
What's going on, kid? Monday night.
We're in here.
Monday night. We're over here now.
Over here now on the Lenny Melnick Fantasy Sports Network, baby.
Listen, you've listened to the Happy Hour before. I know you have. And I know they got a nice show going on. But, I think maybe we should go head-to-head with them. I mean, outside of the advertising and, like, the cute girl voices pitching, like, liquors and restaurants and all this stuff, I mean, we got it going on. So, listen, King Hap and Taco, listen, the Monday Night Fantasy Fair, we're coming up strong. Nothing against Aloha and Phil, any of these guys. But, listen, we're talking duos here. Duos.
Yeah, duos only. We're in it to win it.
We are in it. Yeah.
But we're not really a happy hour. We're more like dinner time.
We are. We're post happy hour.
Yeah, we're post happy hour.
Well, you and I are already drunk by the time this is happening. So we're after the happy hour.
Exactly.
Hey, we got Malpal in the room. We got Lenny. We got Andrea. Really excited. Hopefully more people are going to be joining us as this continues. But Fantasy Fam, guys, Monday night here on the Lenny Melnick Fantasy Sports Network. Woo! Monday night, August 10th. The 10th.
Yes, sir.
And this year, this pandemic keeps moving along, Playboy. Just keeps moving along. That's it. That's it. As always, thank you to Andrea and Lenny for the opportunity.
Yeah.
We're here because you guys are here.
Thank you, guys.
Malpal is just waking up in San Diego. This is it for him. This is Paulie.
Seems about right.
Paulie, you don't know this, but Malpal and I had a little bit of phone tag this week. We took our relationship to the next level.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we were talking memorabilia. He said, "Call me." I called him. I missed him. He called me back. Did you know Malpal has a first name? I got the voicemail.
No.
I got the voicemail. I was like, "Who the hell is Jeff?" I hope I called the right number. He said, "I don't know who this guy is," but yeah.
Oh, that's cute. You think there's going to be a second date there?
I think so. I think the common bond of memorabilia is going to allow for Malpal and I to build a firm foundation of a relationship and maybe progress through this.
Yeah. Wow. That's special. Seems special to me. Happy for you guys. Very happy for you.
Malpal, I'm sorry if you didn't want Jeff to be out there, but I'm sorry if I blew your cover, but it took me by surprise. So, But Paulie, as far as you're concerned, he's just Malpal, okay?
All right, fine.
You heard nothing. All right, Paulie, we got a show today, Paulie. We got a show, and I'll tell you what I like about today's show. We're not going to get into the teams and all this stuff. We're going to really dive into the fantasy portion of this, which is the players, and I love that. I really love the meat and potatoes of what makes fantasy. After all, we are on a fantasy network, right? So now we have an actual season for the first time in our existence to dive in on, instead of fluff and garbage and COVID and all this other garbage. So we're going to get in. We're going to talk a little bit about a little thing we call Disappointment City, which is teams that had players that had a lot of hype and just have not performed. We're going to talk a little bit about stars to cut guys. We're talking about like guys that were drafted on the upper part of a snake draft, or even put a decent dollar into an auction draft, and now you might be ready to cut. I mean, this is what we're talking about in this season. Really, really crazy stuff. Yeah, Lenny, we're definitely going to be talking about the Cardinals not playing until Friday, having not have played until, July 29th or something like that. Like, this impacts rosters, right? Fantasy rosters. You only have so many roster spaces, right, Paulie boy? So, like, you have to start to make strategic moves. I mean, we're going to talk about some surprises this season. I know we talked about it a little bit last year. We're going to touch on it a little bit again this year. This week. And some savvy pickups. Some pickups of guys that might be lingering on your waiver wire. And listen, we want you guys also to chime in the chat room. If there's anybody we're missing, or you think that's going to be a high leverage pickup, give us a shout. And yeah, we're gonna be all about it. And I think at some point during this broadcast too, Paulie, we're gonna have to mention Kelly Nash. I just have to say it.
I know. You've been dying to mention Kelly Nash.
We're gonna have to talk about Kelly Nash. I'm not gonna say anything else about it right now because it might even be its own segment. I hope your girlfriend is not listening because I know we share an affection for Kelly Nash.
It's all right. It's all right. She won't mind.
Yeah.
She understands.
Oh. Wow. Andrea says, "Oh, Queen bitch," as in Andrea is not. I thought you might know Kelly Nash, Andrea, and we're calling her Queen bitch. But okay. Lenny's calling her a bitch. Andrea's calling herself a bitch. I'm not getting involved, Paulie. We shouldn't get involved.
We're shooting straight fire from the beginning of this, huh?
It's like when you're at the family table and two of your family members are having a little spat. The best course of action is to not mention a thing. Just let them go.
That seems like what's happening right now.
Just let them go. Oh, Andrea knows Kelly Nash, Paulie. Watch it.
Does she?
Watch out.
Oh, okay.
Watch out. I mean, you and I have spoken for Paulie, but you know, an introduction wouldn't do
That's
Paulie.
all we need. Just a hello. Just a quick intro.
Oh yeah, Andrea, the lady on MLB Network. That's right, Kelly Nash.
The lady. You're the only lady.
Yeah, Andrea. You hold our hearts. We know with Lenny and Mal Powell and Kevin and Phil, everybody. But Kelly Nash. All right. Anyway. Okay. So
real quick, I got to shout out Nicole Barbella as I'm coming live from the Barbella Studios here. It's her birthday, Nicole Barbella's birthday. Happy 23rd, kid. Enjoy the journey.
That's Paulie's girlfriend's sister. Just to be clear.
ETJ, baby. ETJ.
Yeah, you could tell Paulie's not home because there's no baseball game over his left shoulder. So he's probably sitting there with the scent of potpourri filling his nasal pathway.
It's a beautiful scent. It's a beautiful scent going on right now.
But yeah. So Andrea. Okay, you might not know her personally, but listen, Mal Powell, Lenny, Andrea, whoever's in there. If you guys want to search for a picture of Kelly Nash, just post it in the chat room just to keep this going. That's fine. We're okay with that.
Just to get you all fired up.
Yeah, just so we're all on the same page here. Anyway, all right, guys.
I do look happy. I am happy. Thank you, Andrea. Yeah, very happy.
Happy Paulie boy.
Happy to be here.
Has anyone ever noticed how rosy Paulie's cheeks are?
No.
Like, people pay for that kind of rosy complexion, but this guy, he gets it naturally. Wakes up.
It's all natural, baby. It's all natural.
My goodness.
You can't have them. You got to be blessed and born with them.
Very handsome. Anyway, all right. So Disappointment City, Paulie boy.
Yes,
Disappointment City. All right. We got some players to touch on here. So guys that had some hype coming in the year, a lot of hype coming into the year, and just haven't performed in a big way. I'm looking at. Oh my God, Paulie.
There you go.
Oh my God.
There you go. She looks like a Barbie doll almost.
Hold the phone. And that what? Oh, forget it. Forget it on the Quick Pitch studio floor. Get out of here. Hold the phone. My God. My wife's in the other room, pregnant with my second child. I hope she's not listening.
She's definitely not listening. Let's be real.
No, she's definitely not. Anyway, Paulie, Disappointment City. Because before I get into Andrea, thank you for pointing out she has huge boobs. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Not that I'm a boob guy per se, but Kelly Nash.
But hey,
Kelly Nash. Paulie, just a quick question while we're talking about Kelly Nash. Do you know that I tweeted to her once?
You told me about this.
I tweeted to Kelly Nash and Lauren Shahadi because they're like in love with each other, which is great. And I made up some like name combination of Nash Shahadi because NASH and then SH for Shahadi, and I sent it to both of them on Twitter. And they both
loved it.
responded. They loved it. They
Of
loved
course
it.
they did.
And now on Twitter, it's either Twitter or Instagram. Kelly now follows me. Kelly follows me. I
Wow.
just want you to know that. Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. That's right. Andrea, you're right. Ann Crystal doesn't care. I don't know.
Ray doesn't care.
I don't
She
know.
does.
If
She does, but she doesn't. You know.
Yeah. I mean, Ann Crystal already locked up the old cat. You know. I mean,
Yeah.
Erica's got to be a little scared because Kelly Nash walks in, gets the intro, Paulie Boy. Hey, where's Paulie Boy? Nobody knows what Paulie Boy is, right?
It's like, weird how. Where did Paulie Boy go? It's weird how it's okay for a married couple to discuss to be okay like that, but when you're just boyfriend girlfriend, you know, it's a little more. I don't know what's going on.
Is she screaming at you? Is she screaming at you?
They're yelling at me. They're yelling at me from downstairs. I can hear them.
All right, listen. We should get into some baseball. I hope Big Neil's listening. Big Neil, who's Paulie's girlfriend's father. Big baseball guy. Used to coach in the Cape Cod leagues. Always love when he gets in the mix a little bit. But anyway, let's dive into it. That's why we're here. We're talking baseball. We're not talking Kelly Nash anymore for the moment. We're going to talk about baseball. So before I go into my list here, Paulie, is there anybody that you personally have been really disappointed on your roster with that may or may not be on our list? Is there any one guy that you've been kind of like, he just has been breaking my heart?
Yeah, I mean, Will Smith. Will Smith has been a bit of a disappointment, playing every other day, splitting time with Austin Barnes completely, almost 50-50. And not that I spent a lot of money on him. I spent about $5-6, but really expected a little bit more production, at least when he is in the lineup, and that's not really happening. It kind of sucks because I had to go and pick up another catcher, in Travis d'Arnaud. And to waste another roster spot on a catcher really isn't ideal. So that's kind of bothering me. And at some point, you may have to make a decision on which catcher to go with because you need that space.
Yep.
But for right now, definitely Will Smith on my roster has been a huge disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you, and he is on our list. And Andrea piped in right away with Mitch Garver. And, you know, coming into this season, especially because catching is such a thin position, right? You got JT Realmuto, you got Contreras to some degree, you got Grandal to some degree, and then you got this huge drop-off, right? So it's like, all right, we got two catches from last year that had some clout to add to this group to strengthen that catching position. And it was Will Smith and Mitch Garver. And Mitch Garver, 0.94 average with 1 home run and 2 RBIs. I mean, vomit. That's
terrible.
I got that bitter acid taste in my mouth when I say those numbers. It's disgusting. And I mean, Will Smith at least is over the Mendoza line. He's 231, 2 home runs, 8 RBIs. I get it. You expected more, but between the two of them, I agree. Just a really, really bad.
Yeah, I mean, Garver has actually been way worse, and he was definitely a little more expensive in an auction league, and you definitely took him a little bit earlier than Will Smith in a normal redraft league. So they've both been huge disappointments at a really shallow position. So it's really kind of depressing for a lot of fantasy league owners.
It is. Malpal. It seems like Malpal was betting some on Austin Hayes. I wasn't high on Austin Hayes, Malpal. I gotta be honest. I know he's a lot of hype too, but I didn't expect much from him. I mean, everybody, you know, he didn't have any kind of major league experience, right? Like this, Paulie, he was a clean rookie this year, right?
No, I think he played in September of last year.
Did he play?
He had a few games. He had a few games in September. I'm pretty sure with the Orioles last year. But yeah, definitely not huge. You know, he wasn't really spoken about much coming into this year.
Yeah. While we're on catching, I just have to plug. Last night I was in a fantasy matchup, and it was a really close matchup, and I forgot to take James McCann out of my lineup. But James frickin' McCann, bro, 3 for 4 with a bomb, 2 ribs. James McCann, for all we're talking crap about catches, you're my man today. You
Absolutely.
are my man today. All right. Anyway, right? McCann. Anyway.
Yeah, he looks great. Yeah, without a doubt.
But Will Smith, Mitch Garver, disappointments. So, yeah, I mean, I hear you guys a lot. Like Rendon, Mitch Garver again. Andrea, I just traded Benintendi to Ray Flowers in our Dynasty League today for Victor Reyes.
Oof, that's terrible.
I mean,
and not on Andrea's part, but it's just terrible that she had to do a trade like that, because if you don't get Victor Reyes, you're going to get nobody, because you're going to drop Benintendi most likely.
Well, we're going to talk Benintendi in the next piece about stars to cut, because Benintendi's a star, right? I mean, he's not just a hype guy. He had that one really good year, and then last year was a disappointment. You're like, all right, maybe he was just kind of figuring it out. But this year, Paulie, 059. 059.
He was leading off.
He's making Mitch Garver look like Joe DiMaggio with 094. 059. Zero home runs, 1 RBI.
Yeah, terrible. I think that some of these guys came into the season knowing it's only going to be 60 games, and they just put way too much added pressure on themselves for no reason, really. And they're just not their normal selves. Benintendi is a guy who has a lot of talent. I know he's kind of been on a decline over the past couple of years for whatever reason, but he's still a young kid who had a lot of upside. And it's really surprising, especially after the year that Garver had last year.
He can still figure it out, but if you're in a keeper league, But if you're in a keeper league or you're in a dynasty league, you got to figure him out quick, because I mean he's not worth the roster spot right now. By the way, Paulie, we got the Shaman. Shaman extra soft.
Shaman. We got your boy. We got your boy in here.
Who's that?
Brandon Bumgarner getting cut soon, he said.
Well, Brandon, and just so you know, I call him BC or Guillermo, any one of these names. But Brandon, we're going to get in on the next segment about Bumgarner too, because that's just another guy. But let's stay in Disappointment City. Not that Benintendi and Bumgarner don't fall under the disappointment umbrella. They do. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about we're just
looking for those guys who had a lot of hype coming into this year.
Yeah, let's talk about a Lenny Melnick favorite coming into this year. Lenny, you ready for this one? Because I heard you loud and clear preseason. Here we go. Oscar Mercado, who Brandon's going to love because Brandon has kept him on his league. But Oscar Mercado was supposed to be like the second coming of Andrew Benintendi, right, from 2 years ago. Like a similar kind of player, maybe a little bit more speed. But what Mercado, he's batting 120-something with 0 home runs, 0 stolen bases on a stacked Cleveland squad, Paulie. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy who was kept in not only our league, but I'm sure in a lot of leagues last year. People probably got him for cheap, and in a keeper league, he was probably kept in a decent amount of leagues. Had a lot of hype coming into this year. He had a starting spot in a preloaded lineup. No home runs, no stolen bases. You pretty much kept him because you knew you were going to get maybe a decent batting average and a bunch of stolen bases and runs scored. Right now, he's not doing anything. It seems like he's losing his. It seems like he's going to lose his starting position if he hasn't already. So yeah, total bust.
So Paulie,
and disappointment.
Here's my question. I'm just throwing a curveball at you here, and just a curveball. If you had a dynasty league and you had both Mercado and Benintendi, who are you betting on to keep on your roster if you got to choose one?
Who am I keeping on my roster between Benintendi and Mercado? Right. I think I'm going to keep Benintendi. Is that crazy to say?
I mean, I think
Boston's going to give him every chance. Yeah. He does. He's got more of a sample size. He's played for longer than Mercado, so you have an idea what Benintendi can do when he's on. So, and it seems like the Red Sox are going to give him enough room to really hang himself at this point, because it seems like they're still running him out there and letting him, maybe play through this slump and whatever. But I think I would keep him over Mercado, but I wouldn't be thrilled about either of them.
All right. That's fair. Let's talk about everybody's favorite preseason pick to lead the major leagues in home run, Mr. Franmil Reyes. Everybody was like, Franmil's going to hit in an abbreviated or in a full season, he's going to hit 100 home runs. Franmil's off to a 242 home run start. What version of Franmil, are we going to get? The impressive thing, Paulie, is that I believe Cleveland's doing okay, right?
Yep. Yeah.
the standings, and that's without Mercado and Franmil producing.
Right. Right.
So, and I know their pitching has been on point, so on and so forth. But what's your take on Franmil?
He just seems inconsistent, and it's disappointing. But a guy with a lot of pop, he could go on a home run streak in a blink of an eye before you know it. So I mean, yeah, I was watching the game last night. It was on ESPN. Seemed like he had a couple good at bats. I think he'll turn it around. I think out of most of the guys that we have spoken about or are going to talk about here, he's probably the least of the disappointing ones. And yeah, he's only got 2 home runs, but I think he'll get a little hot. He'll hit some more bombs. The average may not be there because like I said, he's pretty inconsistent. But I could see him turning it around at some point. Maybe not become a superstar, but a decent 4th outfielder on a fantasy team.
Andrea beat me to it because Malpal said Franmil will warm up when the weather heats up. I mean, we're in August. We're in August.
Yeah, it is August. The ball was bouncing around last night though in Chicago.
All right, I hear you. But Malpal, Lance McCullers. I just want to because I don't have him on any of my lists.
Yeah.
And I'm actually a McCullers guy. I like McCullers a lot. I think McCullers is still recovering from last year. I mean, he's I think he had Tommy John, right? Did he have Tommy John?
McCullers, yes.
Or thoracic? No, he had Tommy John.
I think it was TJ. I think it was Tommy John.
I think it was TJ too. So I think he's still acclimating. I think Lance McCullers is going to be great. He just throws that damn curveball too much. Guys that rely on the curveball so much, like you know who else I watched recently, and this is off topic. Brandon Workman throws that curveball so much, it's disgusting. I watched him in the Mets series. I watched him in the series afterwards. All he's got is that curveball. And I just don't think he can control it because he walks the house, and I don't think he's built to last. And McCullers, McCullers typically, I mean, the Astros typically do okay with their pitching, so hopefully they get him, under control there. But I think McCullers is going to be okay. It just might be 2021. So I'm not expecting a lot from him this year, but 2021, I think he's going to be okay. And Andrea, by the way, Paulie. I don't know if we want to segue yet, maybe after this segment, but she brought up Marcus Stroman. And I think we do have to jump into that, but let's press pause. Let's press pause on that because Marcus Stroman and what he did, between him and Cespedes, it really says something about the Mets organization and the players that they put stock in. And there's not a fair metric on character because we have a character problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And Stroman was a guy that they weren't really thinking that would be a character problem. Seems like he was a hard worker, but we'll get to that.
We will get to that. All right. So who else has been disappointing? I'm just going to throw out some names quick, Paulie, because time is flying, man. I love talking to you like this. I mean, time just flies.
Yeah.
But Vladdy Jr., Keston Hiura, Chris Bryant, Pete Alonso. There's 4 names. I'm just throwing them out there. We don't have to dive into each one. But guys that we were expecting more from coming into the season that just have not performed. Chris Bryant, I know there was a contract dispute with the Cubbies. You don't know if that's affecting him a little bit. Keston Hiura, second base is like catching, one of those really thin positions. We were all excited about getting another second baseman in the mix. He's hitting just above 200 with 2 home runs. I mean, 2 stolen bases, 5 ribs. Not much in that Milwaukee lineup. Vladdy Jr., 230, 1 home run. And Pete Alonso. I mean, we watch Pete a lot. Pete, maybe because I was so caught up in his home run production last year, I think this year I'm keying in on how long his swing is. Like, I'm watching Pete Alonso on one screen, and then I'm watching Mike Trout on another screen. And I know Mike Trout's a hard person to compare anybody to. But I'm always amazed by how Mike Trout always looks like he keeps his hand close to his body, and his swing is just so short and strong. But Pete is so long, and I think they're starting to expose him a little bit. I hope he'll be fine.
Just seems like a hitch in his swing almost. He tried to change up too much. They had look how long of an offseason all these guys had to really try to critique themselves and do things. some of them come back doing too much, it seems like. And it seems like that may be happening to Pete. The real disappointment here for me is Vladdy Jr. Like Andrea's saying here, 239, he's batting 1 home run, 3 RBIs. This is a guy who is expected to come up and just tear the cover off the league and go crazy. And he's already changed positions and doesn't seem to have the power that they were expecting. I know that he's only a year or so in and whatever, but it just seems like Vladdy's not the total package that we were expecting right away. I know how young he is, but it just seems like he doesn't really have it yet. Hiura, I think, will be absolutely fine. It seems like he's still got, he's still a very talented kid, just a slow starter maybe. But he had a great night last night. I saw he went 3 for 5. But yeah, and I think lastly, Chris Bryant just needs to change of scenery, man. He just has to get out of Chicago.
Yeah.
He's just got to go. I think once he leaves Chicago, he'll have a fresh start and he'll be back to his old ways.
I think the thing that we always have to catch up with again, Paulie, is that because we're in August, it kind of screws with your brain a little bit. Well, we're only literally 2 weeks into the season.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're literally a little bit over 2 weeks. Like it's
yeah. We're not actually 4 months into the season like we normally would be right now. We're 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's a lot to process.
The Shaman has mentioned a couple of times Christian Walker. I don't know what to feel about Christian Walker. I'm not a big Christian Walker guy. I just haven't seen enough of him.
Yeah.
You have some thoughts
seems
on
like
Christian Walker?
He mashes lefties. Is what it seems like. If you want to play him in a matchup that he's facing a lefty, then absolutely. But don't just run him out there every day just because you have him on your roster. Make sure he's in a good matchup, and maybe he's facing a guy like who I saw recently. Christian Walker owns Clayton Kershaw. Anytime Arizona's playing the Dodgers and Kershaw's on the mound, you want to start Christian Walker. You want to start him against a lot of lefties, but not every day.
Yeah. Not Arizona. I agree. I thought Arizona was going to be a sneaky good team this year, but yeah, they don't look.
Yeah, they're bringing up a lot of their young kids and letting them play a little bit. And they're seeing what talent that they got.
It's fine. I really am interested to see how whoever wins the World Series this year, how they're kind of regarded throughout baseball history. But that's a TBD there.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about stars, Paulie, that we've cut. Now these are guys. Now when I say stars, I mean these are guys that have had at least one good season and have just been like gone. And we already talked about 2 of them, Bumgarner and Benintendi. I mean, Are these guys rosterable? I mean, do you keep them on your roster? If you own these guys, do you keep them? I mean, Benintendi. Yeah. Bumgarner, I know, just had a back issue. They just diagnosed him or whatever it is. But I mean, do you even keep him? Talk to me.
Bumgarner. So like our league, we have about 5 IL spots because of the type of year that we have. We up the IL spots. So if your league has a decent amount of IL spots, I guess stash Bumgarner if you can, just in case for some reason he gets healthy. You might as well use the IL spot. Is all I'm saying. If you need the space, you drop him with no problem. Maybe he comes back at the end of the year. I don't know, but I'm not gonna just throw him out if I have the IL space. Benintendi, like I was saying before, maybe you give it one more week, but most likely you need guys who are producing at this point. You got to win your week. So I would dump him for another outfielder or something like that on the wire, or something more important that you may need. If you need saves or closers or whatever.
I don't know why. There's an 80s song that just came to my head. It goes like, one more time, let me tell you how much I love you. That's like coming into my mind about Madison Bumgarner. Like, you just want one more time with the guy. Like, because he just holds an emotional place in all of our hearts from all those World Series, and you just want to keep him, but you just can't do it.
Yeah, I get it. If you put him on the waivers, I get it.
Thank you for not commenting on my singing chops, Paulie. I appreciate it.
Well, I thought it was wonderful. If you must know.
I do appreciate that. See, guys, fantasy family love here. See, we don't tear down, we lift up. We lift up
It's
at the family table.
It's all fam love. That's what it is.
All right. So some other stars to cut. Okay, here we go. Marcus Semien. So I'm not a Semien guy, and I'll tell you part of the reason why I'm not a Semien guy. I think I told you the story off air. Is I held on to Marcus Semien, I think, for 3 seasons in another league, and he did nothing. I swear, the week I dropped him last year, he caught fire and was an MVP candidate. But he had one good year.
Yeah.
I mean, he had MVP caliber year 1 year, but he's hitting 200 with 1 home run in that Oakland lineup, and I just don't. I don't see him being the player he was last year. Now, do you cut him? I don't know, but he better pick it up soon. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not cutting any A's player at the moment, especially with the guy like Laureano, who's most likely going to get suspended at this point. Somebody's going to have to pick up the slack. Semien seems to be maybe turning a corner at some point. It seems like a guy who's also a slow starter. I'm not dumping him, especially on a hot A's team. Guy who had a great year last year, like you said. Yeah, he might have had just a crazy year out of nowhere, but you don't want to dump this guy and then he turns into, a top 5 shortstop all over again, and it's somebody that you could have really used. I wouldn't dump him just yet.
So what you're saying is, don't be Uncle Bob. Don't dump him before he studs out again.
No, for Semien, I would wait. I would wait another couple weeks.
So, Andrea, thank you for doing a little bit of homework here. Andrea sent us a top 27 list of players, and 10 of them are disappointing to her estimation. And I wouldn't say she's too far off. Walker Buehler hasn't been good. Rendon hasn't been good. Paul, you could speak about Strasburg's been disappointing between injuries and how he showed up.
Yeah.
Pete Alonso, we talked about. Yelich, Bellinger. I mean, we don't have them on our list because they're so glaring, and we know they're gonna be okay. But yeah, they've been disappointing. They've been disappointing.
Absolutely,
Even Ronald Acuna, right? The first 10 games he was pathetic, but now he's starting to catch on. So
he had 3 home runs yesterday.
Yeah, so these guys probably all need to kind of follow that script, right? Like these are your top players. They're probably mostly gonna be okay, but we're getting at right here. It's like the Benintendi's and the Bumgarners, guys that you might want to consider cutting. So Semien, again, he's on that bubble. Paulie says he'd keep him. I would question it a little bit more. 2 other guys, it was generous that we put him on the stars list. But Tommy Edman, I've never been a big Tommy Edman guy anyway. But 250, 1 home run, 4 ribs, and the big surprise to me is Mike Minor. Mike Minor has been complete trash on stilts, as we say. Just like almost a 7 ERA. He's just getting bombed.
Yeah, a guy who had a really good year last year too, which is kind of surprising. He was, besides Lance Lynn, he was like the anchor of that rotation last year. So they were really counting on him in Texas.
And Kluber went down too, right? So Kluber went down. Minor, so not good.
Yeah, I mean, you hope Minor can get, maybe turn it around in his next start. But if you don't have the patience for it, I don't see why you can't dump him. Tommy Edman, he's not a star, but he's a really quality, depth guy for your fantasy team, and you can't wait around for St. Louis to come back and play. We can segue into here about the Cardinals maybe not coming back until Friday, like Lenny was saying, Thursday or Friday, but it may be longer than that. We may not see them for how long. Their GM, I think, came out and said that they don't have a timetable at all for when they're going to return. They're not even really saying themselves that they think it'll be Friday. They're hoping it'll be by the end of this week, but it doesn't seem like that's very likely. So a guy like Tommy Edman, it's unfortunate. You have to dump this guy so that you can pick up somebody who's actually playing right now and get some production.
So here's the question with St. Louis in particular. Who's on the St. Louis roster that you just can't cut, right? Like Jack Flaherty, you can't cut.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Goldschmidt, you can't cut, right? Who else on that team? I mean, the Colton Wongs you could cut. I feel you can cut. If you have Yadier Molina, you could probably cut him, pick up a similar catcher. Who else on St. Louis's squad is like a can't cut?
maybe Paul DeJong,
Paul DeJong.
however you want to say his name. Maybe him. He may be the only other one who's not expendable, but it seems like everybody else on that team is. Maybe you want to keep somebody from that bullpen just in case they turn into be the closer. But I think Mike Shildt said that he's going to go committee anyway when they get back. So it's not going to keep a guy like Gallegos or any of those guys. So maybe 2 or 3 guys total that you're keeping from that Cardinals team. Other than that, you want to dump guys. I mean, in our league, I have Dylan Carlson still, but how long can I wait for this guy till they come back to play and when he actually gets called up? So these are guys that you got to just dump from your roster.
Yeah, and Paul, it's good that you and I are talking about this because in our league, you have Flaherty and I have Goldschmidt. So you and I are dealing with that, right? It's like, okay, how do you? I mean, we have to roster these guys. We can't drop them. So they're just eating up space, and they're not on an IL. They're just sitting there, and roster space is limited, right? It's just what it is. So in some cases, you're dealing with, especially for me as a position player, and I tend to pack up my pitching, is that I have an empty first base slot, and that's unacceptable to me. So I gotta re-strategize my lineup, right?
Right, absolutely.
And how I go about it. So yeah, Malpal, we're on the same page here with Goldie, DeJong, and Flattery here. So yeah, but
yeah, I can't wait till they get back though. They're gonna be playing doubleheaders nonstop. You're gonna roster every single Cardinals player at that point.
It's true. It's like buying stocks when they're down, and then once they start going up, you buy, right? I mean,
exactly.
Buying stocks is what it is. The Cardinals right now is the stock market, and the stock market is low for the Cardinals right now. So if you have the roster space, buy Cardinals now because, like Paulie said, they're going to be playing double dips every game pretty soon.
All the rest of the year.
Yeah, but all right. Andrew, whenever you get a chance, just give me a shout out. Let me know if Aloha's coming on after us, so I know if we're in a time crunch today. But we're a little bit past the halfway mark. Again, Paulie, time just flies here, guys. I mean, it absolutely flies. So again, if you're just joining us, you missed a little bit of what we call Disappointment City, where we talked about players that just haven't hit the mark of what we expected, and we also talked about stars to cut. Guys that you might have drafted high and you just might be time to cut bait with. We're gonna be going a little bit into surprises and some savvy pickups too. But if you need to play catch up a little bit, please go on demand or on the Lenny Melnick Fantasy Sports Network to play catch up. All right.
Yep.
Let me throw a quick trivia question at you, just for the second half of the show to keep us moving. No Aloha today, which is I don't want to say it's good because we always like when Aloha's on, but it allows us a little bit of time to go over as long as you guys are willing to stick in with us. Quick question here. All right. So everybody knows that in the 90s, Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. played together with Seattle. Okay. Everybody knows that. So my other question, really quick question. Let's see. Who is the only other father-son combo to play in a game together since the Griffeys? Who is the only other father-son combo to play in the outfield together since the Griffeys? All right.
It's very much your era.
Yeah. Definitely. The father made his mark in the 80s without a doubt. 80s, 90s. But yeah. So all right, I'm gonna just leave that there. I'll give you all a hint. The year was 2001. I think Georgie came in the room, Paulie. I saw something pop up that Georgie might be in the room. So for the sake of Georgie, because I know he gets these trivia questions really quick, Georgie, since the Griffeys, Ken Jr. and Sr., who's the only other father and son combo to play together in the majors? And the year was 2001. All right, I'm gonna leave that right there, and we're gonna march on. Okay, so
moving on.
Lenny said Clevenger is going to be quarantined because he partied in Chicago. I mean,
with Plesac.
That breaks my heart because I own Clevenger, I own Plesac, and our next segment here is talking about surprises and Zach Plesac. So this is very apropos. Zach Plesac leads the charge here. I love this kid. I love this kid. And I mean, I love Dan Plesac, who again is my era. But Zach Plesac just looks like he knows what he's doing. And I don't know. I like guys with clean deliveries. Zach Plesac short arms the hell out of the ball. But the fact that he has such command, and last year he wasn't a big strikeout guy, but this year his strikeouts have gone up a tick.
Yeah,
this year he's got firing away. He's got 24 Ks and like a 1.29 or something like that ERA. His whip is 0.67. Andrea, there you go, Andrea. Oh,
Brandon
and
too. Brandon came in.
I'm going to tell you right now, Brandon, look that up. Andrea went from the old brain vault. Brandon Negro. Andrea got it from my head. Brandon looked that up. There's no shot, Brandon. You knew that. Absolutely no shot, BC. All right, but guys, good job. It is the Rains boys. Tim Raines' senior nickname was Rock, which is ironic because he was also had a bit of a cocaine problem. So I don't know if that was tongue in cheek or he's hard as a rock, but Rock Raines.
Pun intended. Brendan said he absolutely looked that up.
Of course he did. Good job though, Brendan. Way to be resourceful, buddy. I'm proud of you. Okay, so surprises. Yeah, Zach Plesac. We don't know. I mean, quarantine. I hope it's not 14 days. I know they said he's going to get lots of tests, and hopefully he'll be able to make a start this week. We don't know. I don't know how long this quarantine is going to go on for.
Seems unlikely, but
yeah. But Clevenger, I see a lot of oh no's, and I think that's after about the Clevenger.
Clevenger,
Shaman, Andrea. I mean, between the Shaman and Andrea and me, you could tell we all own Clevenger somewhere. So yeah.
That would be a big that would really hurt a lot of teams out there to their rotation, especially. I mean,
Shaman, I know you're kidding. You don't touch Clevenger. Clevenger's a beast. You don't cut Clevenger ever.
No,
you can't. But again, it jams up your roster. Yeah, Malpal.
It's a disaster.
In my league with Paulie Boy, I got Hand and Karanchak, and again, that's jamming up my roster too because I need one of them to bomb.
Hopefully, Brad Hand was there.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, other surprise guys, Paulie. Trent Grisham's batting average has been dropping, but I still like his 4 home runs and 8 ribs and 3 stolen bases. He seems like he's contributing a lot in a lot of different spots. Yeah. Hopefully he could bring his batting average up a little bit, but I like him. And another big surprise, Paulie, I think it's worth talking about a bit is Will Myers. Will Myers he's just producing, and he hasn't produced in a while. And I don't know if he's a stolen base threat anymore. I think he's got 1 or 2, but 5 home runs, 12 RBIs. Malpal, feel free to jump in on Will Myers. I mean, I know you're all excited about Tatis Jr., so if you could take a breath from Tatis and join us in Will Myers' neighborhood over here and tell us what you think about
with Myers.
With Myers. But I mean, is he for real this year? Yeah. He looks like it. I guess health. I guess health is the name of the game for Will Myers. Mm-hmm. But Andrea, you're right. This Cleveland group, they're just. I mean, how hard is it for 2 months, guys? 2 months don't go out. 2 months.
Yeah. These guys after games, they don't like to go back to that hotel room and just relax with the boys. Yeah. They want to get out. But I mean, at this point, MLB, they put that protocol and that health and safety protocol, and if you're not abiding by that, you're gonna get screwed, man. You're gonna be out for maybe a couple of weeks. It seems like.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just adding to the number of guys who are out, and it's just adding to the number of guys who are gonna come up on teams and possibly make a name for themselves.
Yep, agreed. So Will Myers is interesting, and the other guy who's been a big surprise, I know he had a decent last year, Mike Yastrzemski, Carl Yastrzemski's grandson, the pride of Andover, Massachusetts, the pride. So 321, 14 runs scored, 4 dingers, and 10 ribs. I mean, the guy is producing, and
they didn't just throw the towel in there.
This is the nice thing too, Paulie Boy, is that on these lesser teams where nobody expected much of, like San Francisco, they're going to get every opportunity to play. and
Yep.
they're not gonna shuffle around. They're not gonna do much. So guys like Yaz are gonna get the hit. Guys like we're gonna talk about him in the next segment about savvy pickups. Guys like Wilmer Flores are gonna get every opportunity to play and actually see if they can fulfill some sort of potential.
Yeah. I just got the update saying that Clevenger will not make his next scheduled start on Tuesday against the Cubs.
All right.
After violating that, so he's definitely out this week. Who knows about next week? And we got our boy Hap in here. What up, ladies?
Where's King Hap? Oh, there he
is. Maybe drinking as usual. And we got Sean O'Rourke in here.
Oh, Tendo!
Also known as your boy Tendo. Giants fans love Yaz in the Bay.
Listen,
I don't blame them.
You might like nicknames like the Big Hurt for Frank Thomas and the Big Unit for Randy Johnson, but how about Sean Tendo for Sean O'Rourke? I mean, that's a nickname. That's a nickname amongst nicknames. Boy, wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely, I love it. I love it to death.
Sean Tendo. So yeah, I mean, Giants fans don't have a lot to cheer for up there. Let's start there, Shorty boy. But Yaz is looking good. And Sean, I know you're a Boston guy who's in San Francisco, so you probably have a little special affection for Yaz out there, being Yaz's grandson. So yeah, all right. So some surprise guys out there. So let's jump into the savvy pickups, Paulie. So these are guys that might be on the waiver wire, waiver wire in your league that you should probably look at. Yep. All right. Malpal, Kyle Lewis, Paulie boy. When Paulie and I were preparing yesterday, Paulie boy was all over Kyle Lewis. I vetoed it because I don't know, I just did. But Paulie, you're a big Kyle Lewis guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a guy who came into the season with a lot of hype. It seemed like he kind of just came out of nowhere and just stayed under the radar. At least for me, he wasn't really on my radar going into the season. I heard about him, but it just seemed like Seattle's team was so makeshift. You couldn't really, make anything out of it. But then this guy gets his spot, and he just starts going off. And now he's the number 3 hitter in that lineup. And he's looking like a guy who's going to, play in Seattle for a long time. And they're going to have a nice little team at some point in the future. Kyle Lewis looks really good.
Oh, by the way, if King Hap is still in here, Hap, if you're here, listen. I was gonna do a big unveiling in front of Paulie boy and make him feel bad, but I'm just gonna call you out in public here. I haven't gotten my shirt yet, Paulie. I was gonna go on air with you with a happy hour shirt and say, "Look what I got," because I was in one, and he said he was gonna send it. I haven't got my shirt, Hap. What's going on? I thought you and I were teammates with
they're on back order.
Paulie, what's the guy's name? Tennessee running back.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
That's who he's all hyped up on.
You and I are brothers with Derrick Henry. Where's my shirt? If we don't have the trust of a shirt, Hap, how can we build a fantasy family? Yeah. I need that. I need it. Where's my shirt?
So what you're saying is you're not inviting King Hap to the fantasy fam dinner table until King Hap gets you a shirt.
He's got to deliver. He's got to deliver. Otherwise, if he doesn't deliver, you know where I'm going, Paulie? I'm gonna have to go to Taco.
Wow, you're gonna jump ship?
I'm gonna have to go to Taco. I don't want to go to Taco. Hap, don't make me go to Taco. Don't make me do it. Be the guy. Get me a happy hour T-shirt. I need it. You got my address. Make the magic happen. All right, I'm off my soapbox. All right, savvy pickups that might be on your waiver wire. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll start off on where we left off. So Wilmer Flores, guy, he's qualifies at second base, 302, 3 homers, 8 ribs. I mean, that's a guy you pick up. I picked him up in all league, Paulie. I had because I had Gavin Lux there before the season started. He didn't make the roster. Ended up picking up Freddie Galvis. Is that his name, Galvis?
Yep.
Yeah. He's been garbage. So now I picked up Wilmer. And hopefully he's going to be able to produce, and he is so far. So we like Wilmer, obviously being Met fans, but Wilmer seems like, and Wilmer could always hit, right?
Yeah, that was the thing always about him, is that he could hit, just couldn't field. But I mean, it seems like the Giants are still using him in the field because he doesn't really have a set position. He plays third, he plays second. I mean, for the Mets, he used to play short. He played some first, so he plays all over the infield. So I guess he's good like that. But Wilma, he was always somebody who could hit. So on a fantasy team in a season like this, he's not a bad option to have on your team.
All right,
especially because he has some eligibility elsewhere, I'm sure.
I think he's just second base, at least in all league. But
yeah,
he's the kind of guy, though. You're right. They could put him anywhere. They could put him at third. They could put him at short. They could put him at first. Anywhere in the infield. Then just let him get his 10 games, and he'll be eligible. Next guy, Spencer Turnbull. Now I like this guy. I have him in my dynasty league. I've had him now for like 2 or 3 years, and now he's starting to pay some dividends. He's got a 2.45 ERA. He's got a 1 WHIP. I mean, he's in Detroit, so but he's carving them up so far. I mean, I like him. Paulie, what's your thoughts on Turnbull?
Yeah, I mean, he had a decent year last year too. I mean, he was back end of the rotation for a fantasy team with no problem if you needed a spot start and whatever. So this year it seems like he's really turning it up. 2.45 ERA, 1.00 WHIP, and all that. I mean, seems like Turnbull's pretty good. He's a guy that you have on your team as that you're happy about. But at some point, if he has a bad start or two, I mean, it's easy to cut him. So normally a guy like him I would have on a short leash, but after 2 starts, but we'll see. I mean, he's been pretty good so far.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, Paulie, I don't know if you're following the chat room too, but Malpal sending us a bunch of pictures of himself. My question is, do you think that Malpal's phone is attached to a 10-pound dumbbell, and so every time he lifts them up like to take a selfie, he's also doing a curl, and that's why he's so buff?
King Hap, you mean King Hap?
Who did I say, Malpal?
Yeah, Malpal's he's incognito. Malpal.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, not that I know what his first name is, because we're not going to dive into that. But I meant King Hap. Yeah, we don't know much about Malpal. But yeah,
every day is on day for King Hap.
I mean, King Hap has got. I mean, right now he's sending me pictures of happy hour shirts. He's got the sorry, I don't know a better name for it, but the white beater kind of shirt. What else they call it, Paul? A guinea tee? Is that what they call it, Paul, on Staten Island?
Well, that's a tank top that he's got on there.
The tank.
Malpal said the Mets are getting destroyed. That's a shame. What else is new?
Yeah.
Durf came in. Would you ride out with 3 starters with Clevenger and Flaherty out because of COVID? I can only roster 5 starters. So what he's saying is, would you just have 3 starters, I'm guessing, and then just the rest relief pitchers?
It depends on.
Depends who those 3 are.
Yeah, it depends on who those 3 are. It depends on if you're in a head-to-head or a rotisserie kind of format.
Yeah.
I would say by and large, no. I mean, starters just bring so much value, and I'm also a guy that puts a lot of value on relievers. I'm in leagues where I some of my competitors don't roster closers at all. They go with all starters. I value middle relievers, like shutdown middle relievers and closers, because they lower your ERA and WHIP in little increments. But it depends on who you'd pick up too. If you're going to pick up guys that are going to destroy your ratios, and that's why we're doing this segment right now on
right.
Savvy Pickups. Like,
go get Spencer Turnbull.
Go get Spencer Turnbull. If Spencer Turnbull's available in your league, go get him. I would even, you might think I'm crazy. If Lance McCullers is on the waiver wire, I don't see him being bad forever. Like, if he's on your waiver wire.
And they need him. They need him to step up. So they're going to give him every opportunity to start every game that he's scheduled for.
So Durf, if you're out there, I would get at least another starter, and then get some middle relief guys.
Yeah, he said it's head-to-head, and only 2 relievers are allowed.
Oh, 2 relievers are allowed. Geez, that's a strict league. Yeah, then in that case, you'd have to go other starters. So, because then if I'm reading this right, Paulie, he'd only go with 3 starters and 2 relievers. And I don't know if you have an innings, a minimum innings pitched limit, but I don't know if you reach that either in any given week.
Mm-hmm.
in a head-to-head. So I would just be
something
very,
like
very,
that. They may have a lower one, like a 20-inning limit or 15-inning limit.
yeah. So I would just be savvy on the waiver wire. And if you have any ideas and you want to throw out some guys to Polly Boy and I, we'll be happy to give you some advice on some arms and what our thoughts are on it. A couple of the savvy pickups, guys, just because we're tight on time here, is Edwin Rios.
Mm-hmm.
I love.
He said Marquez is available.
Herman Marquez.
I'm assuming so. If that, well, maybe because there's only so many spots in a league like that there's going to be some good starters out there.
Yeah. So, is it a 10-team league? I don't think he said, but anyway, Herman Marquez is the kind of guy. Even though he's in Colorado, makes me a little bit nervous. But still, I mean, he had a great year last year. He's had flashes this year. I mean, based on what you have, as opposed to just going with 3 guys. Go with 5. Roll the dice on Marquez. And like I said, if Turnbull or guys that are like Turnbull that are out there, McCullers, roll the dice on them. Anyway, thank you, Durf, for the live questions. Appreciate that. Anyway, Edwin Rios. Love that guy. I know there's a glut in LA. I know there's a lot going on in LA, but I just like Edwin. I think he reminds me of a Jermaine Dye type of player. And he mashes. When he's in, he mashes. So he's the kind of guy too. I would roll the dice on. He might not play for you every day, so you might have to play matchups a little bit. But I like Edwin Diaz. Staying with the Dodgers, Chris Taylor. You know, he plays 3 positions: outfield, second base, and short. So I always like that flexibility. Plus, he hits too. You know, the Dodgers between Edwin Rios, Chris Taylor, and Kiki Hernandez. They got guys that are not world beaters, but they're interesting guys that can help complement your lineup depending on matchups. And it's always interesting. Paulie, what's your thoughts on that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Between Rios, Taylor, and Kike, it seems like Kike is the top guy out of the 3 that everybody kind of rosters right now. But he's a guy who has always fallen off at some point, but has a lot of eligibility elsewhere. Same thing as Chris Taylor. But Rios is a guy, like you're saying, if he gets playing time, he hits. Seems like he really hits. So if he gets some time, he could be a big pickup for your team. But you like Rios a little bit more than I do. I just don't think that he's gonna get that playing time at all, just because of how deep they are. Yeah. But I definitely see where you're coming from here. Durf said it's an 8-man team and an 8-man league, and he is the shaman.
Oh, all right. So, Durf, listen to me. An 8-team league, you've got options out there. Yeah. Especially if all 5 teams can only have 5 starters. That means there's only 40 starters being rostered right now. There's a lot more decent starters out there that you might get some bombs here and there, meaning some guys that are just going to destroy your ERA and whip. But I think there's going to be enough starters out there that you're going to be able to maneuver around. Yeah, don't.
Oh, King Hap came in here with a fantasy football question. He's just throwing it out there. What you boys think about the Pats signing Lamar Miller? I didn't even hear about that. I guess that's good for them. I mean, they got a stable of running backs going on there, so I guess it's good for them, but not somebody that you really want in fantasy, especially in that backfield with the Patriots. They could go 4 different ways, 4 different times. It's not somebody I'd love to take a chance on. Hap, the Shaman is a legend.
Hap, listen to me. We're talking fantasy baseball today. Don't come in here and hijack my fantasy baseball podcast today with, if you want to have pillow talk with Paulie Boy, you call him on the side. You don't do it during baseball talk. All right, King Hap? I love
Hap, you don't want to get on Uncle Bob's bad side. All right, you've already been shunned from the fantasy fan dinner table. You better send that straight to him ASAP.
I love King Hap and Taco. I love them. I can never really shun them. Oh, by the way, Andrea, I think your boy Trey Turner saw you highlight his name in disappointment because he just hit a 2-run bomb. So just a heads up. I just got the alert here. So again, just some other savvy pickups. Robbie Cano, I know he's hurt right now, but the guy was lighting the world on fire. You know, I always felt like, as a Met fan, I'm a little pissed off that he's on our team, but he's still too talented. he's still at 37 years old. The guy's a hitter. Like he's what I would think of like a Miguel Cabrera, right? When Miggy's healthy, he hits. When Cano's healthy, he's gonna hit. It's just what these guys know how to do. Like an Adrian Beltre, right? When they're healthy, they hit. So if Cano is if Cano is healthy and has his head on straight, then I think he's gonna be all right. So those are just some options out there. There's one other guy that I'm not gonna say him because I want to pick him up in all league, Paulie. And I think you know who it is because we talked about him yesterday.
Yeah, I do.
But I don't know.
I do know who it is. I was gonna maybe pick him up myself, but who knows?
I'm not gonna say his name because there's other people on here too from our league. And last week I was gonna pick up Sulcer, who ends up not being so good anyway, and my cousin Jesse picked him up. So I'm not gonna mention it. Next week I'll mention it.
Play it close to the vest.
Close to the vest. All right. So if everyone's okay, we're going to go a little bit over here, all right? Because we're having a good time. And Aloha's not on. And, I have scrolled up a few times to look at Kelly Nash again. If anybody wants to refresh a new Kelly Nash picture, feel free to put one on.
Scroll all the way up.
For you guys that are just joining us now, we did talk a good piece about Kelly Nash. For those of you that don't know who Kelly Nash is, she is a desk reporter for MLB Network. She does quick pitch in the morning, and she's a 10. She's a 10. Not even like a 7 who talks baseball, so she's a 10. On her own merit, she's a 10, and she talks baseball, so she's a 17. So off the charts. Paulie, do you disagree 17. with anything I just said?
Nope, I agree completely.
Okay. So
everything
anyway.
you said is factual. Malpal said to pick up Rafi Montero.
Well, yeah, he's a hot go get right now from is it Texas?
Texas.
Right? Yeah, Montero.
A former Met bust.
Former Met. Whatever happened to Henry Mejia, by the way? I know he was suspended for life, and then they reinstated him, and then I never heard about him again. But he had nasty stuff too. Speaking of former Met relief pitchers. But
King Hap says we're killing it. Thank you, King Hap. You're the man. You
King
are
Hap,
the man.
We love you, brother. We love you.
We got some fantasy fam in here. Aunt Georgette, she's the best.
Oh,
that's the fam right there.
Aunt Georgette. By the way, guys, everybody, my Aunt Georgette. She's this month 79 years old. Let's wish Aunt Georgette a happy birthday right here in the fantasy fam today. 79 years old, Aunt Georgette. Happy birthday.
And Aunt George, you don't look a day over 80. Don't worry.
Oh!
She's the best. I love her.
The best. So Marcus Stroman, Paulie boy, my God, as a Met fan, do you expect this ongoing? Right? Like Cespedes was like, all right, we expect this to a point. Whatever, addition by subtraction. I can tell you, Stroman all off season long. I'm getting videos of him throwing on the deck. Out on the pier, him throwing some heat to his personal catcher. I'm psyched for the season. Let's go Mets. All this stuff, right?
Yeah, he's got the wiffle ball slider.
Oh man, I got this calf sprint. I'm coming back strong, bro. He opts out today. He opts out, so his Met career is in essence over.
Terrible Mets career.
I mean. He's a New York guy, so I could see him coming back on a 1-year contract to try to get some value again. And the Mets are in a position right now where they need pitching, so they might entertain that, like a 1-year, $17 million contract, something like that, just to kind of let him establish some, like, what do they call them, like pillow contracts. A 1-year contract for him to reestablish his value, the team to get some value, and then go from there. I could see that happening with him. But this is just a classless move, man. And I know there's going to be that contingent of people that are like, listen, he did it for his health. Leave him alone. I applaud him. I'm just not in that group. I'm too focused on this season. And I'm hoping for a Mets rebound a little bit. But this hurts, Paulie. This hurts. Because Walk is out.
You think it was just, yeah. No, go ahead.
Yeah, Walker's out. Syndergaard's out. Stroman's out. I mean, Porcello does not look good. He looked okay last start, but not great. Peterson looks okay, but who knows? And then who? Right? Like part of me is like, man, I hope Edwin returns to form so we can maybe put Lugo in the rotation. But I think that screws with Lugo's head a little bit. So I'm just
no.
I don't know. I don't know what to do with this. So Stroman, I just don't love this move by him. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it has to do with the injury a little bit more, and he's just not trying to make the excuse for the injury because he's got a contract coming up. So maybe he's acting as if he's healthy and he's just blaming it on the COVID. But maybe he is hurt and he doesn't want to take a chance hurting it before he gets his contract. Maybe he doesn't want to, extend that injury or whatever. And, because it's contract year coming up. So maybe it seems like there's a lot of different reasons for it. And at this point, this late in the game, it seems like it's kind of BS if you're opting out because of Corona. I totally get it that you want to watch your health and all that, but MLB has done everything they possibly can at this point. It might have taken them a while, but now, to keep everybody, as healthy as they possibly can as far as the protocols and stuff like that, that they finally put in place. So the Corona just seems like BS to me at this point.
I agree with you because you know who would make sense to opt out right now. I'll tell you who would make, and I'm gonna throw kitchen table, family table names out there. VR, Goldschmidt, Flaherty, guys whose teams have been infected.
Yep.
And they're like, listen, it's just too close to home. I'm gonna step out. New York has been as a state, we live in it, has done really well by COVID guidelines. And have they seen little spikes here and there? Yeah. But that's what makes it smell more like BS. Like, Stroman, what are you really scared of? A potential outbreak? I mean, come on. Goldschmidt, VR, Flaherty, these are guys that could opt out and say, hey, listen, I've had it in my clubhouse. I don't trust the way this is being monitored. I'm out. Right?
Yeah, it just seems like complete BS.
Complete. I mean, first, Yoenis, and that was fine. But now Stroman, man, your teammates need you. They need you. Yoenis, they didn't need him. We actually had a glut of players. He's a head case. Marcus, we were kind of hoping you weren't. A head case. But you know what?
As sad as that is, that Mets fans were relying on him coming back to maybe save that rotation somehow and stud out and really prove his value for a contract coming up. Instead, it seems more like he's just opting out so he doesn't continue his possibly hurt himself even more, whatever it is, and then he loses value in his next contract. It just seems like a really selfish move. Now Pal's asking, does Stroman get paid?
He got paid for his time on the DL. Because that's a union thing. But I believe
he needs his contract coming up.
Well, okay. He doesn't get paid for the remainder of the season by opting out. That I know. Okay. But like I said before, as far as get paid, I think he's gonna take one of these pillow contracts next year.
1 year. He'll get it, but then what's the point of opting out at this point?
Well,
if you're gonna take a 1 year deal next year, what's the point of opting out now? You're looking for a long-term deal.
Paulie, I don't know.
You're not gonna opt out and then go get another 1 year deal and try to prove yourself next year. Prove yourself in the rest of the season and go get a long-term contract in the off season. But he didn't really care about the Mets. It seems like another disaster of a trade by Brodie Van Wagenen. You bring a guy like him in so that a guy like Stroman in so that he covers the loss of Wheeler, and that never wound up happening. They're in a bad spot, the Mets, especially with that rotation.
Brodie Van Wagenen's lone bright spot of transactions was trading on the low for J.D. Davis. And the only way that we forget about the Cano and Edwin disaster, the Stroman disaster, I can't help but Yoenis Cespedes was connected to Brodie when he signed his 4-year contract as his agent. So Brodie's fingerprints are all over the place, whether he's GM or not. J.D. Davis is going to have to turn into Nolan Arenado tomorrow for me to forgive him to some degree. And it's just not going to happen. So, I mean, maybe this says something about having an agent be a general manager, but it just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Now, pal, he did want to get traded to the Mets. I mean, he's a New York guy. He's from Long Island. I don't know. I can't begin to try to understand these young kids, and they're back in their fourth, and now they got this platform with Twitter and Instagram and what they say, and then they go completely again. They come off like hypocrites, and it's like, you know what? I just don't want to hear it anymore. Perform,
Right.
have some integrity, have some character, show up. You know, if you're gonna say stuff, back it up, show up, perform. Hell, even just show up and get bombed. At least you showed up. I mean, you're still gonna catch some criticism, but at least you showed up, right? This is why I can't stand the David Prices of the world. I mean, I lived in Boston for 20 years. I had to listen to David Price cry nonstop when he was with Boston. Paulie, what did I say? David Price is going to be the first guy opting out. Sure as hell, right?
Yeah.
He's just such a crybaby. Like I get the concern. I get the protection you have over the COVID excuse, and I don't say excuse as if it's not a real thing. It's a real thing, but it's just guys just live in this fear place, and it's like, listen, if we're going through protocol, and Major League Baseball could have made this whole thing a little bit safer as well. There's a lot of shared responsibility here. But man, this Stroman thing just kind of bit me. So, Paulie, I think the Mets are done this year.
Yeah.
I think the Mets are done this year. So,
Hap says, so Uncle Bob, what local beers do I tell Paulie to send me when we win our bet? What's good around your way?
Oof.
You got any favorites around you?
Me? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, not like Hap. You got to remember, I spent 20 years in Boston. I just went back here a year and a half. And being back here for the last year and a half, I've been a dad during this time, so I haven't been doing a lot of beer drinking. My beer drinking days were up in Boston. That's why I know about the Harpoon Brewery. I know about Sam Adams. I know about Boston Beer Works up there. Here, I'm not so sure. You got to ask Paulie himself. He's a young Thundercat. He goes out. He's got a good group of guys. He goes out, plays the field with. Erica, I don't mean field like that. I mean he goes and he hangs out, and he's the guy to ask. He's the guy to ask.
There is a brewery here
Brooklyn,
on the North
right?
Shore.
And Brooklyn too.
No,
good.
there is one in Brooklyn, I'm pretty sure also, but there's one on the North Shore near the ferry. And if he does win his bet, I don't even know the stipulation of the bet. Like, how are we going to determine who is better? You know, on what scale?
Yeah, is it
that
needs
to be determined?
Is it yards? Is it touchdowns? Is it a combination thereof? We do have to discuss this further. I thought about this too, Paulie. What is that determiner? I agree with you.
So when that gets determined, I already have the beer picked out for Hap. No worries.
Wow. Hap, I gotta be honest with you. I don't have the beer picked out for Taco because I'm confident I'm gonna win. Paulie's not confident. This is why we're gonna win. Hap, you see this?
I'm a Jets fan.
Don't talk to me for a second. Don't talk for a second. Paulie is so unsure of his pick that he's already done some homework and figured out what beer to send you, Hap. So listen, if that's not a boost of confidence for us, Hap, I don't know what it is, brother.
Oh man, I'm a Jets fan. I'm not gonna root for Saquon too much, you know.
You chose him though. Anyway.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
All right, guys. It's about 8:15. I usually like to end all little segments with a little about my ongoing memorabilia collection or things that I'm looking into. Like I said, I called Malpal a little bit this week. Malpal, thanks for your phone number. We're definitely going to get after that call sometime this week. But what I called Malpal, because Malpal is a big memorabilia guy as well, I have the opportunity to purchase. Now, let me start off by saying an uncertified. It's uncertified, but it looks really clean. It's in one of these Facebook rooms that I'm in. A lot of the experts that are in this room say it's a really good ball. Anyway, it's signed by every member of the 500 home run club except for Babe Ruth, Jimmy Fox, Mel Ott, who we'll never get, and then Griffey, Pujols, Sheffield, and Ortiz, which still have to be gotten, and they're still alive. Everybody else is on there. Teddy Williams, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, like everybody else.
Right.
$3,000. Uncertified though.
It's a ball, you said?
It's a ball. It's a ball with all those autographs on it. So my question is that would you pay $3,000 for an uncertified ball with all those guys at the 500 home run club on it? That's the
That's
question.
risky, though. That's
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
risky.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely taking all the. I actually offered 2,200 because I'm taking on the risk, and I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
get it certified. But he said he can't do it. I mean, he sounds pretty confident that it's a solid ball. 'Cause I think he got the out on himself. But again, it's still an element of risk. I don't know the guy, but yeah. Andrea DiMaggio, I don't think was in the 500 home run club, so he's not on that ball. But I have a Joe D ball. Yeah.
Andrew said, no, don't pay. Don't
Yeah.
pay.
Andrew, I mean, I haven't paid yet. We've been having this conversation for about a week with this guy. That's why I reached out to Malpal too. But yeah, I'm kind of leaning that way. My thing is, I have about 90 autographed balls, and I want a gem. I got some nice ones. I got Joe D. I got Sandy Koufax. I got all three Brave starters on ball, but I want like that one ultimate piece. I almost shelled out more money than I should have for a Ty Cobb ball, and I didn't.
Right.
And this was,
that was close.
This was just another piece that I was thinking about. But Malpal, we'll talk about it this week. Paul, anything else you want to add to this? We're at 8:15 right now.
Durf, also known as the Shaman, he asked me if I could opt out on the bet with you and half.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure that's what he's saying. No, I can't. As far as your memorabilia, I think you're crazy spending money like that, but you love it, so do what you gotta do.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm gonna get a gem at some point. I'm gonna get a gem piece. I just don't know what it's gonna be. But Andrea, I'm probably gonna take your advice and not buy it, not go into it on an uncertified piece. Plus, what Malpal and I talked about even when we were chatting was we enjoy the chase, which means going and get them ourselves, which I do. It's just that guys like Teddy and Mickey and now Willie Mays to some degree, you're just never gonna get. But anyway, Paulie, this was a show, brother. This is the kind of show I love the most because we dove into players. We had season to talk about. I hope this season just keeps going. I know it's an interesting season. We got no Cardinals. We had no Marlins for a while. We had no Phillies for a while. But hopefully in the next couple of weeks we can get to some normalcy to end up the season strong. And I love you, kid. Love doing this with you.
Too.
I love the room. We got Durf, the Shaman. We got Andrea and Georgie and Lenny and J.R. Max and King Hap, Malpal. Who else? I know Erica's not in here, but I could hear her screaming before.
We had Tendo in here before.
We had Tendo. We had Brandon in here before. We had Aunt Georgia in here before. Aunt George was in the room. Hey, listen, guys. August 10th, 8:17 p.m. We love you. Thanks for coming to the Fantasy Fam table with us. Always a good time every Monday night, 7 p.m., guys. Paulie, anything else?
Yeah. Nope, that's a show. Love you guys.
That's a show, guys. Love you. Have a great night, guys. Later.
Good night.